sure? Theo says. You actually said that to her? Out loud? I shift uncomfortably on the couch. We bonded over Finding Nemo when we were younger. You quoted a cartoon? Theo's head roll is dramatic. And it didn't work. It's been over 8 hours since you ran into her and she still hasn't texted you. Maybe she got busy. Or maybe you came on too strong, Theo says, leaning forward. He claps his hands between his knees and refocuses. Okay, so what happened after you said all that cheesy lines? He's brutal. Nothing. We both had to get to work. I asked if she still had my number and she said that she had it memorized, and then we said good. Hold up. Theo interrupts. She has your number memorized? Apparently so. Okay. He looks hopeful. That means something. No one memorizes numbers anymore. I was thinking the same thing, but I also wondered if she memorized my number for other reasons. Back when I wrote it down and put it in her phone case, it was an emergency. Maybe part of her feared the day she needed it. So she memorized it for reasons that had nothing to do with me. So what do I do? Text her, call her, wait until she reaches out to me? It's been 8 hours, Atlas, calm down. His advice is giving me whiplash. 2 minutes ago you acted like 8 hours without a text was too long. Now you're telling me to calm down. Theo shrugs and then kicks my desk to make his chair spin. I'm 12. I don't even have a phone yet, and you want my opinion on texting etiquette. It surprises me that he doesn't have a phone yet. Brad doesn't seem like he would be a strict father. Oh, so Theo is Brad's son. All this time I was thinking that Theo was one of his friends. Okay, understood. Why don't you have a phone? Dad says I can have one when I turn 13. 2 more months, he says wistfully. Theo has been coming to the restaurant a couple days a week after school since Brad's promotion 6 months ago. Theo told me he wanted to be a therapist when he grows up, so I let him practice on me. At first, the talks we would have were intended for his benefit, but lately, I feel like I'm the one benefiting. That's cute. Brad peeks his head into my office in search of his son. Let's go, Atlas has work to do. He motions for Theo to stand up, but Theo just keeps spinning in my chair. Atlas is the one who called me here. He needed advice. I'll never understand whatever this is, Brad says, pointing between me and Theo. What advice do you get from my son? How to avoid your chores and win at Minecraft? Theo stands up and stretches his arms over his head. Girls, actually. And winning isn't the point of Minecraft, Dad. It's more of a sandbox game. Theo looks over his shoulder at me as he's leaving my office. Just text her, he says. Like it's that obvious of a solution. Maybe it is. Brad yanks him away from the door. I settle back into my desk chair and stare at my blank phone screen. Maybe she memorized the wrong number. I open her contact and hesitate. Theo could be right. I could have come on too strong this morning. We didn't say much when we ran into each other, but what we did say had meaning and intent. Maybe that scared her. Or maybe I'm right and she memorized the wrong number. My fingers hover over my phone keyboard. I want to text her, but I don't want to pressure her. However, she and I both know our lives would have turned out so different if I hadn't made so many missteps with her in the past. I spent years making excuses for why my life wasn't good enough for her to be part of it, but Lily always fit. She was a perfect fit. I refuse to let her walk away this time without a little more effort on my part. I'll start with making sure she has my correct number. So then he sends her a text that says, "It was good seeing you today, Lily." I wait to see if she's going to text me back. When I see the 3 dots pop up, I hold my breath in anticipation. Then Lily texts back, "You too." I stare at her response for way too long, hoping it'll be accompanied by another text. But it isn't. That's all I'm getting. It's only 2 words, but I can read between the lines. I sigh in defeat and drop my phone onto my desk. And that's chapter 3. I don't know. I'm assuming we're going to move into Lily's point of view for chapter 4. So let's just get into it. Okay, so chapter 4. Lily's point of view. Mine and Ryle's situation has been an unconventional one since Emerson was born. I don't think many couples file divorce papers at the same time they sign their newborn's birth certificate. As much as I was disappointed in Ryle for being the thing that forced me to have to make the decision to end our marriage, I didn't want to prevent him from bonding with our daughter. mornings after I've had to work. That's why I haven't asked for it back. But lately, he's been using the key to bring Emmy home. He texted me just before I closed the shop earlier and told me Emmy was tired, so he was taking her to my place to take her to bed. The frequency he's been using the key lately is making me wonder if Emmy is the one he's been trying to spend more time with. My front door is unlocked when I finally make it to my apartment. Ryle is in the kitchen. He glances up at me when he hears the front door shut. I grab dinner, he says, holding up a bag from my favorite Thai place. You haven't eaten, have you? I don't like this. He's been making himself more and more comfortable here, but I'm emotionally drained from the day already, so I shake my head and decide to confront the issue at a different time. I haven't, thank you. I set my purse on the table and pass the kitchen, heading for Emmy's room. I just laid her down, he warns. I pause right outside her door and press my ear to it. It's quiet, so I back away from the door and head into the kitchen without waking her. I feel awful about my short response to Atlas earlier, but this interaction with Ryle is confirming all my concerns. How am I supposed to start something with someone new when my ex still brings me dinner and has a key to my apartment? I need to set firm boundaries with Ryle before I can even begin to entertain the idea of Atlas. Ryle chooses a bottle of red wine from my tabletop wine rack. Mind if I open this? I shrug as I spoon pad thai onto my plate. Go ahead, but I don't want any. Ryle puts the bottle back and opts for a glass of tea. I grab a water out of the fridge and we both take a seat at the table. Wow, so they're like really like hanging out right now. Like, this is kind of strange to me. I don't know. How was she today? I ask. A little cranky, but I had a lot of errands to run. I think she just got tired of going in and out of the car seat. She was better when we went over to Alyssa's. When's your next day off? I ask. Not sure. I'll let you know. He reaches forward and uses his thumb to wipe something off my cheek. You're doing a little bit much, sir. I flinch a little, but he doesn't notice. Or maybe he pretends not to. I'm not sure if he realizes the reaction I have anytime his hand comes near me is a negative one. Knowing Ryle, he probably thinks I flinch because I felt a spark. After Emmy was born, there were moments here and there when I would feel a spark between us. He'd do or say something sweet, or he'd be holding Emmy while he sang to her, and I would feel that familiar desire for him bubbling up inside of me. But I somehow found it within me to pull myself out of the moment every time. It only takes one bad memory to immediately dull any fleeting feeling I had in his presence. It's been a long, bumpy road, but those feelings are finally non-existent. I attribute that to the list I wrote of all the reasons why I chose to divorce him. Sometimes after he leaves, I go to my bedroom and write it to reiterate that this arrangement is the best one for all of us. Well, maybe not this exact arrangement. I'd still like my key returned to me. I am about to take another bite of noodles when I hear a muffled ping come from my purse across the table. I drop my fork and quickly reach for my phone before Ryle does. Not that he would read my text, but the last thing I want right now is for him to even try to be polite by handing me my phone. He might see the text from Atlas, and I'm not prepared for the storm that would bring. The text isn't from Atlas though, it's from my mother. She's sending me pics of Emmy she took earlier this week. I set my phone down and pick up my fork, but Ryle is staring at me. It's my mother, I say. I don't know why I even say that. I don't owe him an explanation, but I don't like the way he's staring at me. Who were you hoping it would be? You practically lunged across the table for your phone. No one. I take a drink. He's still staring. I have no idea how well Ryle can read me, but it looks like he knows I'm lying. He spins his fork in his noodles and looks down at his plate with a hardened jaw. Are you seeing someone? There's an edge to his voice now. Not that it's any of your business, but no. Not saying it is any of my business, just having a casual conversation. I don't respond to that because it's a lie. Any recently divorced husband asking his ex-wife if she's seeing someone is anything but casual conversation. I do think we need to have a more serious conversation at some point about dating, he says. Before either of us bring other people around Emerson, maybe lay some ground rules. I nod. I've think we need to lay ground rules for a lot more than just that. His eyes narrow. Like what? Your access to my apartment. I swallow. I'd like my key back. He stares stoically before he responds. Then he wipes his mouth and says, I can't put my daughter to bed. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know my schedule is crazy, Lily. I hardly get to see her as it is. I'm not saying I want you to see her any less. I just want my key back. I value my privacy. Ryle's expression is tight. He's upset with me. I knew he would be, but he's making this into more than it is. It has nothing to do with how much I want him to see Emmy. I just don't want him having easy access to my apartment. I moved out and divorced him for a reason. It's not going to be a huge change, but it's one that needs to happen, or we'll be stuck in this unhealthy routine forever. I'll just start keeping her overnight then. He says it with such conviction while eyeing me for a reaction. I know he can feel the discomfort I'm suddenly drowning in. I keep my voice calm. I don't think I'm ready for that. Ryle drops his fork on his plate with a thud. Maybe we need to modify the custody agreement. Those words infuriate me, but I somehow prevent my rage from boiling over. I stand and pick up my plate. Really, Ryle? I asked for the key to my apartment back and you threatened me with court. We agreed to this agreement, but he's acting like that was my benefit rather than his. He knows I could have taken him to court for sole custody for everything he put me through. Hell, I never even had him arrested. He should be grateful I've been as generous as I have. When I get to the kitchen, I set down my plate and grip the edges of the counter, allowing my head to drop between my shoulders. Calm down, Lily, he's just reacting. I hear Ryle sigh regretfully, and then he follows me into the kitchen. He leans against the counter while I rinse my plate. Can you at least give me a timeline? His voice is lower when he speaks. When will I get overnights with her? I press my hip against the counter and face him. When she can talk. Why then? I hate that he needs me to say this out loud. So she can tell me if something happens, Ryle. When the full meaning of what I just said sinks in, he chews on his bottom lip with a small nod. I can see the frustration in the veins that rise in his neck. He pulls his keys out of his pocket and removes my apartment key. He tosses it on the counter and walks away. When he grabs his jacket and disappears out the front door, I feel the familiar twinge of guilt creeping into my chest. The guilt is always followed by doubts like, am I being too hard on him? And what if he really has changed? I know the answers to those questions, but sometimes it feels good to read the reminders. I go to my room and pull the list out of my jewelry box. Number 1, he slapped you because you laughed. Number 2, he pushed you down a flight of stairs. Number 3, he bit you. Number 4, he tried to force himself on you. Number 5, you had to get stitches because of him. Number 6, your husband physically hurt you more than once. It would have happened again and again. And number 7, you did this for your daughter. I run my finger over the tattoo on my shoulder, feeling the small scars he left there with his teeth. If Ryle did these things to me at the highest point of our relationship, what would he be capable of at the lowest? I fold the list and put it back in my jewelry box for the next time I might need a reminder. And that's chapter 4. I ended up having to take my headphones out because it was doing something weird, so I hope that I wasn't too loud or too quiet, but that was chapter 3 and 4. It was an okay chapter. I didn't love it. It's starting off a little bit slow for me, you guys. I think I'm gonna need a second to get into it. I think that once Atlas and Lily start interacting a little bit more, I definitely will be a little bit more into it. But yeah, that was that. This video is definitely going to be a little bit short, but these chapters are a little bit short, so I mean, anyway, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I love all of you very, 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 very much, and I'll see all of you in my next one. Bye.